Hey everyone, and welcome back to the Commander Clash podcast, where the Commander Clash crew discusses Commander-related topics. And today, we are going to be discussing overrated commanders. Commanders that we feel are being played more than we think they should be in Commander. And obviously, this is a kind of clickbaity title. I'm not going to be shameful about it. There was an intent here to get you to click, but it's not as bad as it sounds. The intent here is not to shame anybody for playing these popular commanders. They're very popular for a reason. And we're not saying these are bad commanders as well. There's obviously a reason why these commanders are popular. However, we believe that there's some commanders out there that might be overshadowing other commanders that fulfill the same role as these. And because they are so popular, because they are on the top of EDH Rec, people don't really get to look at the lesser played commanders, despite we thinking that maybe they're better suited for what you want to be doing. So we're going to be discussing basically the most popular commanders in according to EDH Rec, the ones that we consider might be being played too much, and then maybe offer some alternatives on what else we can be playing instead of them, and other aspects to think about these commanders, like other things you might not think about before you actually go ahead and build it yourself. So don't downvote immediately. We're going to talk about it. We're not going to shame anybody or anything like that.
We might shame Tomer. We might shame Tomer a little bit. But other than
I was the one who pitched it to you, so you can shame me all you want. But joining me, as always, for this hot button debate, which is not really hot button, is Seth, probably better known as Saffron Olive. How's it going, Seth?
I'm doing great, Tomer. I love telling people how they're wrong at Magic.
We have a podcast. Listen to us. Yeah, you're wrong to play. You play a casual format the wrong way.
Yeah, you're wrong
Listen
to play the cards that you like in Commander. Come on now.
That's right.
Loud. You're not being a tryhard. And that other voice you just heard is Krim, aka the Asian Avenger. How's it going, Krim?
Good morning. I am awake. How are
you? By any metric, it is not
it's
morning.
It's almost 2:30 my time at Krim in the afternoon. We live such different
lives. It's 11:30 your time.
I am not up for another 3.5 hours.
8 p.m.
to 4 hours. So
Phil is about to go to bed. All right.
Okay, it's not that late over here.
Also, Phil, you are usually up at like 4 o'clock in the morning, according to when I see the Discord messages. So.
Yeah. That's true.
Phil, aka Brewer's Kitchen. How's it going, Phil?
Hey. Everything's good. And now with a non-squeaky share. Listen to this or don't listen to this.
Was that the IKEA one that I recommended? No, it's not. It's a different one.
I know. I tested. I went to IKEA, actually, and tested the one, but there was something off with it. And this one's pretty good. They are so cheap. If this
Is it also an IKEA
survives, one? Yeah. If this one survives 2 years, I'm happy with that. That was super cheap, and it feels great, actually.
What's the name plug so we can get hashtag sponsored by IKEA?
Something Swedish? I don't know.
All right. Yeah, that's fair. If you asked me what chair I got from IKEA, I remember texting you, but I don't remember what exactly it was called.
Marcus.
Yes. No, that was literally it. Mine was the Marcus. Okay. Yes, you got it.
I sat on it a few days ago, so this one's easy. This
enough.
one, I don't know, actually. Marcus is easy, though. The other ones, if they start with weird letters.
Yeah. When there's like the double accent thingy, double dot accent on top.
I mean, we have those too in Germany, but the words
different pronunciation.
They sound a little bit different. And I mean, I want to sit on it. I don't want to know what's its name. That sounds weird. Let's get going.
Well, speaking of sponsorship, we're not sponsored on this podcast, I don't think, but you can still support the channel or the podcast 2 different ways. The first way is you can like and subscribe wherever you're listening to this podcast. And the second way is you can purchase our beautiful merch at mtggoldfishmerch.com. You can purchase deck boxes, deck sleeves, t-shirts, and so much more over at mtggoldfishmerch.com. All right, with that out of the way, let's start it off. Seth, what is the first commander that you consider is overrated and why?
All right, so this was an easy one, and it's Morophon the Boundless. Morophon the Boundless on EDH Rec. It's like top 5, I think. I'd have to check the exact number, but it is like literally one of the most played commanders in the entire format. If you don't know what morophon does, it's the 7 mana colorless changeling thing, but it's actually 5 color because it has ability that says spells of, I guess I should read the whole card. When it ETBs, you get to choose a creature type, and then spells of the chosen type cost Wooburg less to cast, reduces the effect only of the reduces amount only of the colored mana you play, and then other creatures of the chosen type get +1/+1. So morophon is like the commander for any tribe that doesn't have a commander. And I think that's like a legit use for morophon. If you want to build around some janky tribe that you just don't have a legend, I think that that's where morophon actually shines, and it does have a role in commander, filling that purpose. However, there's 2 reasons I think it's overrated. Number one is we're getting more and more commanders for janky tribes. Like every single set, we're getting like commander precons that have like badger tribal commanders, worm tribal commanders, bird tribal, like skeleton tribal. Think of any weird tribe, and if it hasn't already gotten a legend, it's probably going to get one in the near future, the way that cards are being printed these days. The other reason I think that morophon is super overrated is if you go to EDH Rec, you can actually see the builds that people play of morophon. It has them all listed there, and some of the most popular builds are like Dragon Tribal, a tribe that has many very strong 5-color commanders. Sliver Tribal, another tribe that's built around strong 5-color commanders. Those are like the most popular ways to play morophon, like some of the most popular ways. So I think that if you're using morophon as your like 5-color Dragon Commander or 5-color Sliver Commander, it just feels so cheaty to me and wrong. Remember when Richard tried to play like scarecrows, and he played a bunch of changelings and everyone freaked out because that's not actually scarecrows? Morophon is like the epitome of that. Like when you put that as the head of your dragon deck, you're like literally kind of just cheating and ignoring the flavor to such a huge amount that it drives me a little bit insane. So I think play it for the janky tribes. If you don't have a good leader, go for it. But come on, play an actual dragon for your dragon tribal commander. Play an actual sliver for your silver tribal commander.
I don't understand what you're talking about. It is a sliver.
It is a sliver, yeah. It says that on the reminder text.
Yeah, except this card is every creature type.
Yeah. I mean, cheating.
You all are exactly the problem that I'm trying to address here.
I will come to its defense, all right? If you look at the themes, EDH Rec, as you said, can show you what the most common played themes are. The first 2, and by far the most popular ones, the first one is Eldrazi Tribal, which allows you to run all of the Void Eldrazi's, and the second one is Shapeshifter Tribal, which is the Changeling Tribal. So that's at $7.95 for Eldrazi, $7.45 for Shapeshifter Tribal. Then at number 3 is the Dragon Tribal of $4.23, which is almost half as much. And I will say, okay, just to toot my own horn a little bit, when Morophon came out, the first budget commander brew I did for it, like the week after it came out, was the Void Eldrazi Tribal. So this guy.
Listen,
and then
the
second one was Tribal with Morophon.
Listen to him. He's got a podcast.
I didn't even have a podcast back then. It was so long ago. It was in the before times.
But that's a legit use of it. Like Devoid Eldrazi Tribal. That's where like I think that you should be playing Morophon as your commander, because there's really not another option that's going to fit the flavor of your deck and the theme of your deck. So I think that's a very legit use. It's just like when you're playing it with tribes that have other options that are literally their tribe members and not the changeling version, that's where it feels weird to me. Like, I don't know.
Dragon Tribal, Sliver Tribal, Legends, God Tribal. God Tribal's kind of interesting. We don't really have God, 5-color gods.
I mean, we got Esika, right?
We got Esika, yeah. Esika's probably better at it, too. And probably Joda, because aren't they creatures? Or maybe I guess they're not creatures, but they will be creatures when you have enough of them on the battlefield.
I guess another reason to play Morophon would be to combo with its ability. You can play like 5-color cards of the chosen type for free. Mm-hmm. So if you say, oh, I got this combo deck that tries to loop a whatever, something, I guess first Sliver does something if you bounce it again.
Well, it also combos with Fist of Suns, because it costs Wooburg less, and you can cast all your spells with Fist of Suns with Wooburg mana. So if you have Fist of Suns and Morophon on the battlefield, whatever the chosen creature type, you can cast for 0 mana. So that's cool.
There are cool combos with it. So I mean, we can probably say this about every card on this list. I mean, they are the most played commanders.
Yeah.
But there's a cool way to play it and a boring way to play it. I guess it adds colors to certain tribes, but yeah, maybe
It's a
rogues don't need
7
blue,
draw.
green or something. So
They do
I
need
don't know
the,
how, yeah.
the little bit of the green, but it's fine.
okay.
I am going to come clean with you, Seth. I do have a dragon deck with morophon at the helm.
Why?
Yeah, he mentioned that
Actually,
last podcast.
I'm actually curious. Why would you choose
Why?
Morophon over like whatever
Ur-Dragon?
Ur-Dragon, Scion of the Ur-Dragon?
Yeah, maybe
name one.
we have an inside scoop on why it's the dragon tribal.
Because the Ur-Dragon's boring. I mean, like I'm
Morophon is
everybody
boring.
has
super boring.
Everybody has the. I don't like eminence, right? So because eminence is kind of
Okay.
absurd,
Okay.
right? So
That's
what is the
legit.
next step down, right? Because obviously Ur-Dragon is by far power level wise just the best dragon commander. And I genuinely I think by far, like, I don't know what would you think is a better 5-color dragon commander than
Scion of the
more,
Ur-Dragon.
I mean, you have-
sorry, not I meant to say Scion the Ur-Dragon is the best dragon commander.
Yeah, that's
So like that, like the next step down would be like what?
Ur-Dragon.
Dragon.
Actually, well,
Ur-Dragon
like, no,
again.
So the best one's the Ur-Dragon, right? And then the
Right,
step
I
down
fully
would
agree
be like Scion of the Ur-Dragon, Ramos Dragon Engine, Okagachi, Vengeful Kami.
don't-
Like there's several 5-color dragon like potential commanders that don't require you to cheat.
Right,
cheat,
right,
quote
but the-
unquote, by like playing changelings.
But this also, I don't even play changelings. I genuinely play all dragons, right?
Your
And the-
commander's a
I mean, your
changeling. You're not
commanders.
playing all dragons.
No. Well, no, but I am playing all dragons, Seth. But I
It's a
am
dragon,
playing all
what do you
dragons.
mean?
I don't understand.
What are you talking about? It's in the dragon. It says so right on the card.
The mana reduction is sweet, right? Like 2-headed Hellkite is just 1 mana. Like, why would I want to
True.
do that? That's like, and I'm not trying to combo off and I'm not trying to do anything that's like, Fist of Suns, like broken stuff, all like combo, right? I'm genuinely just playing cheap dragons. So
I mean, obviously play whatever you like to play. That's kind of the disclaimer for this whole episode. But I reserve the right to make fun of you if you play Morophon as your dragon tribal commander, just because
We have a
it's
podcast.
cheaty.
Jesus.
Yes.
it's so much cooler because you get the mana reduction. It's sweet. What? And it helps because it is only 7 colorless mana. It doesn't matter what mana sources are spent into it. I could just store up one of my Dreadship Reefs and just put it all into Morophon.
And
So
play
I
your
will-
2-headed dragon.
I'll defend
Well, maybe
Morophon
not
for
my two-handed
Eldrazi
guy.
tribal, but for other ones, like, it's tough because it's 7 mana. That's why, like, I initially, the first tribal primer that I made was with Morophon, but I switched it to Ur-Dragon because 7 mana is so much. Like, yeah, it's really good when it's on the battlefield, but it's gonna die, and then you're gonna spend 9 mana to recast it? That's like really hard. It's hard to just cast it the first time, to be honest. So that's why I really like it in the 99 over as the commander. I don't know.
It's no
It's
harder
like it in
than
the
any
99,
other commander you would play for dragons, right? If you cast it.
Ur-Dragon, you don't have to cast though.
Yeah, okay. Ur-Dragon is obviously, we agree, right? Like that's easy
Yeah.
mode. Yes,
Sure.
that is cruise control, right? Like we got that. So, but Ur-Dragon's boring. Morophon, at least, I don't like using Eminence. I just genuinely don't like using Eminence. So, and
I
Ramos
agree
is-
with that.
And so
Ramos is cool.
like Ramos is like fine, but that's I don't know. I like the mana reduction for more. And also on top of that, it helps
Cheater.
that I have a Judge foil. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna play this one.
All right, fine.
Anyway,
right.
just think about it.
What
Think about it as you
mana?
build your decks. If your deck has a legitimate commander that's not a changeling, consider it, because people like me to make fun of you.
Yeah. That's going to be
they-
the tone of the
they-
podcast. Again, we're not
can make
trying to
fun of
shame
you.
anybody for picking whatever commander we're talking about, but Seth will shame you for it. So I'm just saying,
They
listen
can
to us.
shame you. They can make fun of you for it.
Shame, Bell.
Like,
You
yeah.
would get to play
Yes,
Tiamat for 2 mana. All
Oh,
right?
you can play Tiamat as your
Tiamat,
commander.
yeah.
What? Why would you
Tiamat's
play
Tiamat's
Tiamat?
I forgot about that.
Yeah, why don't you
Tiamat's
play
another
Tiamat
cool
as your
one.
commander?
Because the mana reduction. The mana reduction is so sick.
But you can cast Tiamat and then find Morophon. And four other dragons.
He's got a point. If Tiamat, you can cast it before Morophon, right? Or is it?
No,
I think it's the same price.
It's all 7. It's
it's
actually
7
also the rainbow and 2.
Which that's the problem in 5-color. Again,
but
that 5 mana.
If Tiamat dies, you just
crazy.
You still got your value, right? Like Tiamat is like it's bonus if it stays on the battlefield. It's a 7/7 flyer. But then Morophon, if you cast it and you tap out to do it, and then it just dies, and then you're just like, oh, I guess my commander's not going to do anything this game.
Krim always has a free counter.
That's true.
I mean, if it's 5 colors, I'm going to load it up with everything except the fog. But the
cryptic command, boom, got him.
The ability to just play cheaper dragons is cool. It's like to satisfy my inner Timmy, right? Like cheap dragons, just jam that, and that's it. And like draw maybe off a dragon's horde. Like that's the goal. How's that not sick? How is that
Sounds like
not sick?
War dragon with extra steps, though.
Yeah, Dragon,
it's not like Dragon at home vibes, but it's like at home it's like your home is actually on fire, and you have to drag out the card somewhere in the ashes.
1 mana Okagachi, just saying. 1 mana Okagachis, whatever.
All right, moving on, I guess. Phil, what do you offer us for a card that is pretty overrated?
Yeah, well, we're gonna rustle some jimmies in this episode, so I know a lot of people like the card, and I kind of like the card too. It's Krenko Mob Boss, 4 mana, 3/3 goblin. Some people might be screaming right now. Tap, put X 1/1 goblin tokens on the battlefield, where X is the number of goblins you control. So you play this, it probably has haste, and then you tap it and create a bunch of goblins and sacrifice them to an altar, and then you win the game in super fun for everybody fashion. I don't see how many times this is fun. I know a lot of people swear on this commander, and they are gonna be angry with me, but I mean, that's just the thing in this episode. My replacement is a card that I hate. And I don't even hate Krenko, it just seems boring. But I hate Marxists. But I think it's a cooler commander for goblins. It's a 6 mana 4/4, I think. When it enters the battlefield, it looks at the top, I think, 6 cards. I don't even have this card. I just play against the top
6. Yeah,
top 6.
And then you put
all your goblins into play.
6 on this. Oh, I think 6
I remember
on
he did a cool animation on it.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And
but just because I hate it.
Music, I think.
If you played Historic on Magic Arena like a year ago, you definitely know what Muxus does.
Yes. Yeah, so the thing about Muxus is, in Historic Brawl, it's a pretty insane commander, because it usually just wins the game just as it does in Historic. But I think it's just a bit more... I think it fits goblins a bit more to have something random and you can't really control it. With Krenko, it's just, I set up a combo board state, and now, hey, you all know this. I did this every game. Here's a combo. With Muxus, I think it's a little bit more interesting what you do. Also, the backstory. I don't know the backstory behind Krenko, but Muxus is actually 5 goblins. And while the rest of the goblins just worship him and say he's the greatest, they are all just siblings. And every morning they roll a die, and whoever hits whatever number becomes, takes on the crown, and the other ones carry him. And it says in the law that if they roll a 6, they take a day off. I don't know how they do this as a king or whatever, but that's just a funny story that it's just not one guy, but actually the ones carrying him as well. It's just funny.
That's fantastic.
I don't know.
5 goblins in a trench coat.
And then I guess they're the ones who have to carry him around.
Yes. I mean, that's just, I don't know. It just seems a bit more fun and interesting if you play your 4th game of the evening. You probably don't want to assemble one of these combos that is tapping, untapping, sacrificing. This doesn't really feel too goblin-y. Just have some chaos. Don't know what's happening. You can set up the top of your deck with goblins, obviously, but... have some fun.
There's
with
Goblin Recruiter that you can stack your deck to win or whatever.
I mean, Muxus is also probably pretty strong. Goblins are pretty strong. Unless they get board wiped, what do they do? I don't know. Never met mono red.
You recast Muxus and you get another.
Oh yeah,
board,
with Muxus it's great. Yeah, with Krenko it's like, I don't know. I mean, I'm gonna probably get some comments on why Krenko is the best, so I'm gonna find out why.
I think Krenko is like actually like just again objectively probably the best Goblin commander, but Muxus is probably a lot more fun. However, in 100 card commander, I forgot, was it not on Commander Clash? Someone played Muxus as a commander, and they kind of whiffed a lot just because there's mana rocks, there's lands, there's a lot of that, right? So like, and like I think either that or it was a real life game. Somebody played Muxus and they got like a goblin. So
it's fine.
I don't know. I mean, it is random. It is random, but like, why not try Shattergang Brothers, right? Because then you get to go into Jund. You get to play Jund goblins. They are goblins, and you get a built-in little bit of a sacrifice theme, right? Where you can sack your creature, your goblins, and make them sack a creature, right?
Yeah,
and
but
you can do the same around the board because you also have what are the artifact goblins? The ones that get an artifact from your deck put into the yard. Like all of those.
Like
Goblin Welder,
yeah.
Goblin
Welders,
Engineer,
engineers. Shattergang Brothers allows you to sack artifacts, and it kind of perfectly I don't care about the third mode, the second enchantment part, but I guess you can since you have green. However, like the red and black parts of Shattergang Brothers are things that you see like Goblin decks trying to don't mind doing, right? They have the Goblin Sling Leader or whatever, you Siege Gang Commander. You can just sack creatures pretty easily already. Sacrificing artifacts. Goblins love artifacts. So you can kind of play to all the themes that Goblins love there.
I have an alternative though. I mean, I like that one too because you also have access to like the green and black, and there are black goblins like from I think Lorwyn block that had a good decent amount.
Modern Horizons as well.
Yeah.
I will give one though that I think is also quite good, and that is Pashalik Mons from Modern Horizons. Yeah, it's like 3 mana, mono red, so you're in the same color. It's when it or another goblin you control dies, it deals 1 damage to any target, so a little bit of a ping. But you can pay 4 mana, sacrifice a goblin, create 2 goblin tokens. So if you want to go into like that sacrifice matters type thing, you have a sack outlet. It's kind of expensive, but you do net 2 goblins at the same time. And if your board gets wiped or whatever, or you sacrifice goblins for value, you're pinging stuff. So I think it's all right. But yeah, I think
The thing about goblins is there's really like a ton of options. The part that blows me away about Krenko is if you just look at like goblin decks on EDH Rec, there's like 7,600 Krenko decks, and the next closest is under 1,000. So this is just like if you added together all the other goblin decks, that probably doesn't equal up to the amount of people playing Krenko. So I think it's definitely overrated, not because it's bad, but just because it shouldn't be that far ahead of everything else, because you all mentioned a bunch of other ones, and there's like warts on there, there's other Krenkos, there's multiple Grenzos that are like legitimate leaders, and if you want to go like more janky, there's like Ib Halfheart is like a pretty funny card, the like one of the old janky goblins, or like Squee. So you just have so many options that I wish people would diversify a little bit, or at least think about it. Like, I don't know, it seems like you would get bored of playing Krenko after a while, because as Phil mentioned, it does kind of do one thing. So I think if you're a goblin player, you don't got to tear apart your Krenko deck, but it would be pretty easy to like kind of do a 2-for-1 and like switch up a few cards and throw in a different commander and get a little bit of a different experience once in a while, and then you can put Krenko back together after you try one of these other commanders.
I think Krenko is like it's one of the most simple decks to play. So it has appeal to newer players for sure. Because like let's say you have someone who's new to Commander sitting at the table with you, and you have a bunch of decks, and one of them's Krenko. I think Krenko is probably going to be the best one to just hand to them. There's like no shuffling or searching, no combos or anything. The commander's incredibly straightforward. All you do is you tap it every single turn, and you play goblins. So it has a lot of appeal for newer players, especially as like a loner thing. And I think it's also one of the more affordable decks if you want to play at like a higher power table, because all you do again is you just play Krenko, you play whatever goblins, it doesn't really matter as long as they're cheap, which goblins are, and you will overwhelm the board unless unless people can repeatedly stop Krenko from going off. So I understand the appeal to it, but I also think like if you want to play goblins regularly, it's a very linear deck. So I do think it would get boring very quickly. So yeah, I do, and also yeah, like you said, Sal, like if you just have a Krenko deck, all you can do is just have Muxus, which is probably already in the 99 already, and just swap that in, or Palshik, or whatever, a Pathfart, or whatever, and they'll give a different flavor. And yeah, they're less powerful, but they do give a little bit more something to the deck, make it a little bit less linear, more focus on the cards in the 99 as opposed to just the commander just tapping and not really caring about what goblins are on the battlefield. Yeah, and also it would be more appropriate for like lower power tables. Like somebody brings out a precon and you bring out Krenko, it's like, yeah, you're gonna stomp. you either Krenko either gets shut down and does nothing, or Krenko pops off and wins. Like there's no in between. There's no like give and take in that deck. All right, we'll move on. Krim, what's the first overrated card on your list? Overrated commander.
Okay, so I have AC Tyrant of Gyre. Yeah, I don't know what is it Gyre or Gyre? Seth,
I would say Gyre. I would go with Gyre. I don't know if that's right, but
all right, then I'm going with Gyre. I'm just kidding.
I think it's Gyro. The infinite Gyro.
Yes.
Ooh, there's the third option. No, okay. So this one is like actually like what, the 45th highest ranked commander. And I'm curious why. It's 4 green-blue. You may play an additional land on each of your turns. Whenever a land enters the battlefield under your control, you may draw a card. Right? It's obviously great. It's pretty sweet. But why would I want that over like Uro?
Yeah, it's more powerful, but it's
definitely way more powerful.
But
yeah,
Uro's
it's
like,
way more powerful than Uro.
But Uro, I don't mind if it like, because I just put it in the graveyard, right? It dies. I put it in the graveyard. I just keep putting it in the graveyard. Unless you have like a ley line.
I feel Uro, like is just, you just gain 3 and make 1 land drop. AC's like you play it on the battlefield, you draw like 3 cards, and you put an extra land onto the battlefield. And the next turn you like ramp in growth, and like all those ramp spells in your deck that you wanted anyway just turn into card draw, and you're playing additional land drops. It's like AC's ridiculous. It's like silly strong.
Yeah, we only just
I know
missed
it's silly strong, but like I guess I don't know. I feel like Uro coming down like on turn 3 and allowing me to just immediately ramp pretty easily, right? I guess it's not really a problem for Simic because it is green, so they'll be able to get to 6 pretty easily. 6 is like probably like 4 mana, so I could understand that. But I don't know. I just feel like Uro having escape is pretty cool. And plus, I don't mind if it dies.
Like Uro is cooler, but coming from like I only play Commander for a year roundabout now. And I remember in the beginning thinking of AEC like, oh, I gotta play this. And I almost did a bunch of times, but the more you play Commander, maybe it's us playing another deck every time. Like, it's super fun if it's on the board. It's just a bit too... It's just... You just play a game and get rewarded for it. I mean, that's... It feels a bit boring. It is fun, obviously, but in Commander, I don't know.
That's kind of my problem. Is it really doesn't? It doesn't really force you in any direction to build around it. Like it's just kind of. I think it's just kind of a dull commander. Like you just play all the cards you would play in a Simic deck anyway, and it's really busted and draws you a ton of cards. So I just don't find it very interesting. I think it is like incredibly powerful. If your goal is to build like the most busted deck, it's definitely like super strong. But I don't know, like I would rather play a commander that pushed me in more of a direction than like play Cultivate, play Rampant Growth, which just are the cards I was going to put in my deck anyway. So as Phil said, it kind of just like is just like this absurd payoff for playing just a good stuff value deck, and that's fine, but eventually that gets a little bit dull for me.
It's like, especially as a 6-drop, it's a 6-drop which seems expensive, but keep in mind, like, you're actually encouraged to run more ramp than you usually would in an average Simic deck, because, like, if you have, let's say your average Simic deck, you run like 12 ramp and growth effects. In AC, you want to run like 18 or even like higher than that, because once AC's on the battlefield, you don't get mana flooded. All you do is all those ramp and growth effects that now are sitting in your hand, they just turn into card draw. You're just cycling them to not only ramp even further, but then also like draw cards in the process. And that's what really makes AC like the absurdly strong, is like, yeah, it's a 6-drop, but you're going to get there so easily because your deck is just like ramp.deck, and AC just converts all your ramp that you want to be doing anyway into also card draw, and then you just win with whatever, right? Like, so... yeah, it is very boring. I think I would say Tatyova is actually much more interesting of all things, and they're almost literally the same card. Tatyova, it does the same thing, but you gain 1 life. So at the very least, you can build like a life gain sub-theme off that. At least it gives you something to work off. AC doesn't even give you that. AC just is like, you can play an extra land drop each turn, and also every single time you're playing lands, you get to draw more cards. At least Tatyova gives a little, like, the fragments of some spice that you can work with. Obviously, nobody actually does a life gain deck, because God forbid you try something a little bit spicy in your landfall soup. But yeah, at least there's something there that you could work with. AC is just the most vanilla, like, do the thing that you were doing anyway, draw a card commander design. So,
it seems pretty fun though. Like, just
sure.
Again,
it's why it's one of the most popular commanders. It's very
fun.
popular and very fun, but like, it is like the blandest design I can think of.
I also think it's super popular because it was in a very inexpensive precon deck. That was one of the like $15 Commander Legends precon. So that was one that I think a lot of new people picked up. The card itself is like somewhere around like $7, $8, something like that.
Yeah,
but you can still get the whole precons for like $20 or less. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh my god, it's amazing for Omnath. Any landfall deck, like. Your Lotus Cobras and your tireless X's and...
I will also say, like, this is like emblematic of why people hate Simic and Commander. This is like the literal number one most played Simic Commander in the entire format is a Sai, and it's just like what we were talking about. Just like, oh, I play all my ramp spells and draw all the cards. Like, I feel like people would think of Simic as a color a lot differently if, I don't know, whatever, like Volo or Uro or, you know, Amadi, some like more interesting commander was like number one. But if this is what you play against most often when you play against a Simic deck, it makes sense to me that people are like, okay, this is like kind of just a boring, overpowered color combination.
Yeah, I like commanders where you actually have to run like unique cards to actually get value out of them, instead of being like, yes, I'm just running more rampant growths. The stuff that I was doing anyway. And those are the most powerful cards in my deck. Yes, very, very interesting behavior. But what would you recommend as like an alternative for like a landfall deck? Like this sort of AC strategy. What would be like a more interesting commander that you would more be interested in playing?
You mean like Omnath, Locus of Creation?
Would you prefer that?
I actually think that would be like, you're already doing all. I despise Omnath, right? But I would rather play that, right? AC is just boring. But at least Omnath does a lot of things, and he looks cool.
He does
and
look
it has
cool.
a great promo, the textless one.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
My God.
I would love that as my commander. Oh my God.
Yeah, if I get my hands on it.
I don't know. It looks like a...
You got to play cryptic.
Like if you were an undergrad and you just took graphics design 101 or something and you drew that. I don't know.
No.
What?
No.
It looks so cool.
I don't want to shame anybody's art after the children's debacle, just the Kids Possible debacle, but it looks it looks exceptionally bad. I don't know.
Wow.
I thought you were gonna say the children's art debate. I was like, "There's no debate, Homer. You just straight dunked on random children for no reason."
Oh no!
Not even random children. Sick.
I don't even know who
children.
the artist is. I apologize.
I'm just not even gonna make this joke. So let's keep
to go back
talking.
To go back to the question though, like I think there's a bunch of potential Simic landfall commanders. If you want to stay in Simic, like Oryxmithes is a pretty cool card that was like pretty hyped, and it's
cool.
like a creature
yeah.
that can also be an extra land. Sloggerk's a new addition, like getting your lands back to your hand from your graveyard gives you some engine.
Really cool.
And if you want to go really cheap, there's a couple of uncommons like Gretchen Twitchwillow. This is a 2-mana commander that lets you pay for and draw a card and put a land from your hand on the battlefield. So there's like several options I think that I would say are more interesting than Asai. If you want to play the same play style but not play Asai in specific.
Just play Uro Voltron.
Uro also would work. Yeah,
I think Uro's more
extra
interesting
land drop.
too. Yeah.
Oh, I think it is too.
It is.
Uro Voltron lets you draw, ramp, gain life, all 3 of those every time it attacks. And then you just beat, and like, you know, Tomer, you could even put Cauldra on it. And then eventually, yeah, it actually helps you cast and pay for the absurd equip costs on the cards. You know what I mean? So like Uro, I don't know. I would probably just play Uro because that just seems fun.
Yeah, and I mean, I know Nine Fingers Keen isn't in the best spot because she's Sultai and she tries to do gates, but I like that sort of land style commander. Like Nine Fingers King is a lands matter commander. She cares specifically about gates, and I like that. I like the idea of like a land type commander caring about a specific type of land. You know, that you can try and assemble during the game. That's super fun. So if Nine Fingers, unfortunately, is Sultai, so if she was 5 colors, she'd be way better. But you know, we are getting more gates, and I think she will get better in time. But that is a style that I like a lot. I like Obun, Muldaya Ancestor. It's Naya. You animate lands equal to the number of like lands you have on the battlefield. You put +1/+1 counters on them, so you can build a +1/+1 counter theme. Like you gotta have some sort of extra text there that allows you to build around. Like you can actually go a boon for like animate lands matter, so you can run like the stuff that pumps up your animated lands, like the Kamal, like the partner command Kamal or stuff like that. You're putting counters on things, so you can add a +1/+1 counter theme to it. You know, something that sets itself out instead of just being like whenever you play a land, draw a card and that's it. Even Omnath, 4-color Omnath is like very strong, but at least there's stuff there that you can build around. At least there's more colors too, so you can play with more landfall trigger cards. I don't know. Boy,
the Soul of Windgrace that just came out.
Yeah,
yeah,
that
I see that every once in a while in Standard.
Card's actually not bad.
Again, if you play AC, we love you. Please like and subscribe.
I mean, I almost played it. I just think it's at least not good for content. If nobody's looking and I'm online, I would play this and just not look at the chat. It seems super fun.
All right, we'll move on. Okay, my pick. So in case the viewers weren't mad enough, literally the most popular commander for I don't know how many years, at least like 5. This is right now in the top on EDH Rec, the most popular commander in the past 2 years, and I think this has been the trend since it's been printed, is Atraxa Praetor's Voice. And I'm here to tell you that this card, super overrated. So for people who don't know, I don't know how you don't know, but if you don't know, this is a 4-color commander, 4-drop, green, white, blue, black, no red. That's the only color it's missing. For a 4/4 Angel Horror, Flying, Vigilance, Death Touch, Lifelink, and at the beginning of your end step, you proliferate. This is the go-to commander for Super Friends. It's the most popular Super Friends commander. So for Planeswalker decks, you get to copy a loyalty counter. Then the next most popular thing you do with it is +1/+1 counters. And I'm here to say that no matter what direction you take Atraxa, I think there's going to be more interesting and I dare say more powerful options for you out there. So for example, Planeswalkers. I get that she's a very good blocker. She's Flying, Vigilance, Lifelink, Death Touch. She's a great way to protect your commanders because she's a fantastic deterrent that just kind of sits there in the command zone. She is also just passively gaining you life because she has Vigilance and Flying and Lifelink, so she can just smack something, passively drain some opponents while progressing your board state. And she does add loyalty counters to your commanders. However, I think you can do a lot better with specific commanders than just put one loyalty counter on each of your commanders. I think Aminatou, for example, is a more interesting and more powerful, more powerful commander, because not only are you getting to, basically, if you downtick a planeswalker, you can use Aminatou, reset the loyalty counter, so you gain loyalty counters too. But then you can activate them again as well. So Aminatou has more power there. And then also just like 5-color commanders, something like a Sika is I think underrated as a planeswalker commander too. You get access to red, so you get your Nicol Bolas's, you get your Chandras, you get all those other cool planeswalkers that Atraxa does not allow you to have access to. But also, a Sika, the Prismatic Bridge side especially, allows you to cheat out planeswalkers incredibly efficiently too, and she works well with a lot of the effects that would be good with planeswalkers as well, like Lithoform Engine. You can copy the triggered ability of Prismatic Bridge, but you can also use Lithoform Engine to copy the triggered ability or the activated abilities of your planeswalkers as well. So I think a lot of commanders out there can do what Atraxa does in terms of Super Friends, but just better. And the fact that Atraxa is just kind of sitting there at the top of EDH Rec, a lot of people don't really consider other options, and I think that's a shame. I think she's very good. She's fantastic. But I think for what you're trying to go for, whatever the sub-theme, I think there are better or more interesting or just alternative commanders out there. And I don't know why Atraxa is like number one for like the past 6 years. That's a lot.
What if you want to play energy though? Which commander do you pick?
I like to actually Yarok the Desecrated, because most of your energy stuff are enter the battlefield permanents. Though when they enter the battlefield, you make X amount of energy, so Yarok doubles that. And I think you can generate energy faster with Yarok the Desecrated.
Then you can play that enchantment that fox.
Oh, yeah.
And keeps you alive.
All right. So, okay, fine. But planeswalkers, what about +1/+1 counters? Are there
I'm
better...
on your side. I was obviously just...
There's lots of options for +1/+1 counters, too. You got a lot of new ones, even like Falco. We just got Falco Sparrow, which is a really cool card.
Yeah. We got the Tyrant.
Is a really good card. Yeah, I mean... We got the Tyranids. So yeah, +1/+1 counters, there's tons of support, which again is probably better than proliferating ones. Like, wouldn't you rather have Hamza like giving you this massive cost reduction on all your things, or like Falco letting you play through the top of your deck? And like, it seems like that's more impactful than just like, I had to counter everything on my end step with proliferate. I know Atraxa's body, like you said, is really good though. Like, we've seen, that's actually one of the reasons I dislike it. If you build janky themes with Atraxa, is Atraxa's body tends to like overshadow the theme of your deck sometimes, because its body is just like so strong on the battlefield.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, like I don't know. I mean, she's probably just because it's Atraxa, right? Kind of grandfathered in at this point now, like just iconic. One of the what do you think of when you think of like one of the commanders? Everyone knows who Atraxa is, and like I think that's really it. It's just the recognition of what Atraxa is as opposed to what she does. Because I agree on all those fronts that, like, as someone who plays Aminatou Super Friends, it's just better to play Aminatou, right? Like, if you care about Super Friends, unless you really like having the green in there. But having an Aminatou just allows you to like activate, like it pairs well with all the double activation stuff, right? It's just better. There's so many better, like Falco is just more interesting of a 1/1 counter commander. And then yeah, like the only thing I could think of is like maybe Infect, because that is where proliferate is kind of nice, right? You always have it in the command zone. But you know, like I have a preferred
one over Infect actually. Saskia. Whenever you deal damage to you choose when Saskia enters the battlefield. I think it's like the red version. Same cycle. Red doesn't have blue. It doesn't have blue.
The double damage one that damages two people. It enters
the battlefield. You choose a player, and then whenever you're dealing damage, you deal that much damage to that player too. So you basically double the effectiveness of your infect. And I think you can infect people out a lot faster than Atraxa, because you're just like giving one person one counter. That's the thing. It's like Atraxa is so slow. Like she's capped. She has a power ceiling capped. She only does the one counter each time, and that's it. Whereas like there's more explosive commanders out there. I don't know.
Also, for Super Friends, I gotta shout out Karth. Karth is my favorite Super Friends commander by far.
Karth,
I know it's not all the same colors as Atraxa, which is probably the downside, but I've had so much fun playing with that card.
Karth is sweet. Oh god, that would be one of the things that I would probably, the reasons why I would play Atraxa Super Friends is because you get access to Karth and things like that.
Mm-hmm. But it's too much green for Crim.
Also doubling season. Yeah. You know what? And doubling season. Who wants to do that? That's cheating. I'm alting my planeswalkers slowly.
Yeah. I respect that she's 4 colors, so you get a lot of green has some of the best Super Friend support cards, but then you can go 5 color and you can go like a Sika or even you Joda. The Cascade, it works with your planeswalker, so every single planeswalker you cast, you get a second one, and he's a big body. He's a 6/6, on the battlefield just by himself. And if you have any legendary creatures, but I think a Sika Prismatic Bridge would be just a better option than Atraxa. I think. I don't know. Let us know, all Atraxa players. I know you're out there, you're listening.
There's a lot of
them. It's the most popular. And I played one for Energy, and I liked it, and it always felt correct to play Atraxa on my Jank tribe, which I guess, as Seth said, might be a downside sometimes. But for Planeswalkers, if you're not playing super janky, I feel like you can do better than Atraxa. I'm sorry. All right, now that we've lost all our viewers, Seth, what do you got next for us? Oh my god!
All right,
this is a hot take.
We have remember Asai that we just talked about, the Simic commander. We have Grixis Asai, probably better known as Cast Dissonant Mage. 4 mana Grixis, 3/4 with flying. It's a human wizard. It says during each of your turns, you cast the instant sorcery spell from your graveyard. If a spell was cast this way, or if a spell would go into your graveyard this way, exile it instead. So essentially, you get to Snapcaster Mage once during each of your turns if you have cast on the battlefield. Cast is a powerful card, but to me, this is literally Grixis Asai. It just rewards you for doing what your deck does. I got spells in my deck. I just have spells in my deck. I get to cast them a second time. It's so boring. It doesn't push you in any direction. All it wants you to do is put random spells in your deck that you're going to be playing anyway. Play Anhilo, play Zevlor, play Cormella, play Jaliva. There's so many options. Even if you want to be Spellslinger in Grixis, there's several different options that actually do interesting and cool things and aren't just I'm playing a modern staple in my command zone and I get to do it every turn. It's so spiky and boring to me. So
people play.
Is this a modern staple?
Modern?
Well, no, Snapcaster. You're essentially just playing Snapcaster
People
Mage.
play Snapcaster.
Hold on. People play Snapcaster yet in 2022? I feel like...
former. Let's go with former modern staple.
Oh, man.
I haven't seen Snapcaster played in years. Years.
What a shame.
Don't do Snapcaster Ponder anymore?
No. Ponder was banned a decade ago, Tomer.
Bring back Ponder. That's the main reason.
But,
I don't
really,
even think...
Hashtag unban Ponder.
Cass is the second most played Grixis commander, by the way. It is very popular.
Yeah.
Second most played. Am I off base? That it's kind of just a boring card that doesn't push you in any direction?
It does a bit more.
I don't think she's AC level, though, because AC just all that ramp, you just recast it and turn it into card. She's once per turn. That's fair design for 2022 Magic. That's
it's so generic. It doesn't push you in any direction. Yeah, it's just it rewards you for doing what your Grixis deck was going to be doing anyway. And now you get to do it twice.
I don't know about that, but I will say that she is. I will say she's overrated. But I don't know if it's a face roll, right? Because Grixis is a little bit all over, right? So it does lock you and tune you into being more spell eccentric, right? Where
that's true.
Because Grixis actually has a lot of things you could do in there, whereas Simic is just land. Draw.
It's not.
It is.
It is, but not
right,
Lonus or something.
But I think Grixis has way more archetypes within itself, right?
Yeah.
But I do agree that Kess is absurdly overrated. I don't play Kess. I don't have a Kess deck just because of that, right? It's kind of just what everybody plays when they, I don't know, I'm going to just play Grixis. And I'm going to
she's not very good with draw go, that's for sure. Because you can only cast it on your turn.
I guess, but I don't think Nico Bolas is good in draw go either. I play the hell out of that. But
fair.
I think that she's just overrated and really popular. And I play a Zevlor deck, and if I want to go Spellslinger, I just do that. Like Zevlor is hilarious, and you get to play a bunch of like really niche spells that everybody would like just pretty much openly tell you do not play that in Commander. Like people to play Thoughtseize and then clone that, and then, like in Commander, that's pretty darn funny. Or the other day I was playing with Rebel and a bunch of others, and like she was able to just copy Palaka Predation.
That's pretty sweet.
Right, and then you get to like, of course, then do bribery, and then head games, all that other stuff. Like that's just way more interesting and fun, and it's hilarious, like just for like a spell slingy style of deck. So I don't know. I mean, I guess Kess is like great if you're trying to like storm off or something, or CDH. I would agree there. Like it's good in CDH because it is a CDH.
Kess is the most consistent. Yeah. Because she's 4 mana, she's not that expensive, and then like at the very least you're gonna like recast your Ponder or whatever for 1 mana, and you keep doing that every single turn. You don't have any ridiculous like build arounds. You have to be Spellslinger. You have to have instant sorceries in your graveyard, which any Spellslinger deck will. But I think there are more interesting alternatives. Like Angelo is really interesting to me because there's a casualty involved, so you mix in aristocrats, And Spellslinger is inherently good at making tokens that you can sacrifice later with Young Pyromancer, Tyrant, and all that stuff. But you can build in like put in a more morbid opportunist, build in your Grave Pact effects and stuff, and build from there. And it's not just your average Spellslinger. And Zevlor, like you said, he focused mostly on targeted spells as opposed to just any type of spells, which is also really interesting too. And Kess is basically the vanilla version of that. So I agree that she might be played a bit too much, and there might be alternatives that are a little bit more interesting. I can also understand why
Zevlor's got haste, dude, so you can just kind of get in there,
But that's 6. You pay 4 to cast him, and then an additional 2 to tap him. So, and then you have to cast a spell.
But then you play Training Grounds, right? And True. So then it doesn't cost anything. Or you have things that reduce activate abilities, which I do, and so like I don't know. I mean, it's
more
pretty fun.
Yeah. Kess has the least amount of hoops. You just have to have her on the battlefield and an instant in her sorcerer in your graveyard.
Boring.
You can bribery the whole table. Zevlor.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
That's true.
That being said, Cass can flashback Blatant Thievery, which is
that's true.
That's true.
That's volatile.
You can cast See the Truth, and you can draw 3 cards off it for 2 mana. That's kind of cool.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. Briberying the whole table's pretty good.
There's like some stuff you can build around. Like there's some stuff that are like whenever you cast a spell from the graveyard, you draw a card, like the River Kelpie or whatever.
Yeah.
Or create a bird.
There's not much though. I don't know if I've ever seen anyone build around Kess. It's always just like value stuff.
True.
Yeah.
Again, we love everybody who plays Kess. But
sure.
We love you. We just hate your cards.
This is not a total podcast. We made it clear at the beginning. We love everyone. Play what you want. Commander is for everybody. Moving on.
Oh my god. Yeah. We got to pick it up. We're almost an hour in already, and we've gone through like 5.
There's no way we're doing 12. All right. Phil.
Here's a quick one. I think this one is just in here because of the precon or something. Kyla, Seaguardian Emissary, 5 mana, 2/2, human cleric. Whenever another human enters the battlefield under your control, put a +1/+1 counter on it, and other humans you control get +1/+1 for each counter on it in Celestia colors.
Mm-hmm.
Isn't that just a generic engine? Like how humans don't have a problem growing their team, right? You can play. Am I missing something? Is this like a combo piece? Why are there's like so many cool humans you can play. Even if you stick to Celestia, you got Cathilda, which turns everything into mana bobs, and then you can grow them, this one just grows. And it's 5 mana for a 2/2? Is there anything I'm missing here?
He's a huge anthem. You just plop him on the battlefield, you cast a bunch of humans, or you don't even have to cast a bunch of humans. He works with human tokens, and then all of your humans attack for lethal.
But
it's kind of like putting a jet mirror in your command zone, right? Like you just kind of like I only care
Jetmir
about
comes
having a
down and
finisher
it's
because my
game
finisher
time.
comes in.
This
yeah,
one,
that's true. Collar needs
you have
sit
to
a bit.
follow it up, and it's a 5-drop. I mean, I'm not even saying. Of course, it's a huge anthem, but so is Coat of Arms or anything else.
It also has to stay in the battlefield. It's not like
it's
putting
just
the counters on things.
boring.
It gets the counters on itself, so it has to stick around. Yeah, I feel like this is actually a good reminder of how precon cards tend to be overvalued on EDH Rec.
Yeah,
like when you're looking through the rankings and you see something like Kyler that's like way at the top of the list, I think it gets a pretty meaningful bump, just like we were talking about Asai to some extent, like because it was in a cheap precon that a lot of people have and a lot of people just go with it, upload the precon deck list or whatever. So I think that probably is part of it, at least.
Yeah.
It's gotta be. It's so
That's fair.
so two-dimensional. I mean, you play it, everything gets huge. All of the other cards did that already.
It's
And
also
humans have so much more colors you can explore. Even if you play like 5 colors with Kenrith or something.
I
But
play
even if you
Trin.
want to stay in Celestia,
I don't play Selesnya. Why would you play Selesnya? You don't even get like. I don't see why you would play Selesnya humans. It's just
you have more colors.
because you're gonna get board wiped, right? At some point, you assume your stuff's gonna die. Adding black then immediately means that you can like bring it all back, right? So that's why I love my Trin and Sylvar humans deck, because I just get all the sweet things that come with black. You're losing out on red. Red has Professional Facebreaker. You're losing out on Zulaport Cutthroats, things like that. You're losing out on General's Enforcer, which by far is like one of the best humans because all humans are legendary, pretty much. Thalia, Kudro, all these things. Like you just get more resiliency out of your like just playing like Mardu or like anything like that. Like I just don't think what you're getting from green makes humans like better. I think you just get like you lose out on Judith, right? Like there's a lot that comes in Mardu. I think Mardu is just strictly at least you don't have to like exclusively play Mardu. You can play 5-color, whatever. But like if you have the Mardu base, you're able to then return it with like Haunting Voyage, Patriarch's Bidding. You have all that extra stuff to reoccur your humans. So because I assume my humans will always die. So having like Morbid Opportunist so that you draw cards when anything dies, like these are just things that are very good in humans.
I mean, my favorite human tribal is also Sin and yeah, you know what I'm trying
Trin
about.
and Sylvar.
Trin and Sylvar, there we go.
Yes.
My favorite human tribal are those two, but they're kind of aristocrats, and I don't know. I still think Selesnya brings a lot. Like Torrens is probably my favorite.
Oh yes.
Piece for human tribal. So it makes human tokens whenever you're casting creatures. Catilda turns all your humans into mana dorks. You also have Heron Blade Elite, which generates a ton of mana. Whenever you're playing humans, you get counters on it and taps to add mana equal to its power. So green brings a lot to the table. Also, you have like 101 ways to refill your entire hand. Shamanic Revelation, draw cards for each creature you have on the battlefield.
But you have that already.
But I mean,
what is it? Human like whatever species specialist or whatever. Whatever.
Yeah.
Like there's a lot that if
Isn't
you're
that
worried
blue?
about card. No, it's black.
No, that's black.
Anything that you're worried like because like if you're worried about card
yeah.
advantage, Mardu's got that, right?
But
Like,
doesn't
you also-
green have
Green
like
has it too.
the most humans outside of white? Like, aren't green and white like the primary human colors in Magic, or no?
I mean,
I think so.
I guess there are like green humans. You have like King Darien now, all that other stuff. But like a majority of the I think what I consider like some of the best ways to make a tribal deck work, and then on top of a human deck, is to have black, right? Because then you can punish people for killing your stuff. You can because I just assume my stuff's dying left and right.
Just don't have
So-
your creatures die forehead.
Oh,
Yeah.
You know, I didn't factor that into it. So you know, maybe I'll go back to the drawing board.
I mean, it is
the one thing that green gives you is Sigarda, Champion of Light, which I like, and like Realm Walker. I think
there's
those are
a bit more that green, the strongest color in Commander, gives any deck, but sure.
Yeah, but it's a creature deck, and green is all about
you're not
creatures.
ramping, but you're
You
not
can.
like,
If I play humans, I'd probably play Band and just run with Shulane if you want to be powerful.
I think I don't.
I don't care if you wipe my board if I drew a card for every creature I played.
But Tulane is just going to be loop white mane lion and then
No, just play humans with it. I mean, I'm not. It's a bit boring, but it's pretty powerful.
I don't know. I mean, maybe,
there's definitely upside to having Guardian Project, Great Henge, like all those
Beast
kind
Whisperer.
of cards. I feel like that's doing the same thing as the black cards are doing to some extent. Like the black cards let you get back your stuff when it dies. The green cards just let you draw so many cards that if your stuff dies, you don't care because you're just like generating card advantage everything you cast. So I can see arguments for both of them, but I think I don't know. I don't think green-white humans are bad. I do wonder though, is Torrens just a better green-white? If you want to stay straight Selesnya, isn't Torrens more interesting and maybe even better than Kyler?
I think Torrens and Casilda are both better than Kyler. I like Carlo though. I would put Carlo in the 99, but I don't think he's worthy of the commander slot. I think you just replace him with Torrens or Catilda and you're good. I think Torrens is probably the best overall.
Definitely not worthy of being 5 times as much played as those options or whatever it is by the actual data. Yeah.
King Darien is something that I'd probably look into, right? Because he kind of just makes an army on his own. Of course, they aren't human, which is unfortunate, but whatever.
Yeah, that's awkward.
I guess
5 man to make 1 token. Ugh.
I mean, sure,
Ugh.
Training
but
grounds.
I think Torrens is definitely better than. Oh, actually, no.
Torrens just sits there and makes tokens for just casting
Torrens
creatures,
is
which
pretty
you're trying
good.
to do anyway. And he grows them because they all have training. It's woof.
Yeah, I do like that. Also,
I like my Torrens.
I do like. So the main things in green are just Augur of Autumn, Realm Walker, and maybe Sereth. I think those are the main powerhouses that I don't think you can get. That I see the appeal of green.
Is Druid of Purification a human or an elf? Just one other staple.
Druid of Purification is...
it's a human.
I think that's...
It's a human druid.
It is?
Yeah.
Yeah, that should
That is a
be
good
in your
pickup.
deck. That's a pretty good one.
That card is good.
It has
Green is just
you have the
the
tireless
best.
X's, you have tireless provisioner, tireless tracker.
Yes.
No wonder Phil likes
Maha
green.
is also what landfall make a human warrior token. So I don't know. I thought I wouldn't count out green. I think I like the Mardu the most. Like I said, I do think it is the most fun for me, but I think Selesnya humans are sick as well.
I think Mardu is just strictly better. Just
we gotta have a human tribal commander clash. Where everybody
That's
brings
actually
different.
interesting. Yeah.
It's a hard sell that cutting the best coloring commander is going to improve your tribe. I'm not convinced.
How is I mean I'm being serious. I think that the losing out on all the drains. If they are able to kill your stuff, they are going to lose a lot of life, and then you're going to refill your hand. So you're able to it helps you expedite the aggression, right? Because you don't have reach with green white. There's no Zulaport. There's no Blood Artist. I know Blood Artist is a vampire, but
I'm just gonna kill you with my Finale of Devastation or whatever. That doesn't matter.
That's fine. Sure.
I almost feel like
that is the main way.
They're two different decks almost. It sounds like there's so many humans in Magic that I don't even know how many cards your Mardu human deck would share with your green-white human deck.
Yeah.
One's aristocrats and one is
they're a beat-down, tribal, overrun style, tribal deck. So yeah, it feels like maybe they're hard to compare because even though they're the same tribe, they're just working on very different axes.
Selesnya is more like an elf ball deck. It's a human ball deck, whereas Mardu is an aristocrats deck.
Synergy, yeah.
Yeah.
They both sound sweet, though.
Also, Mardu has the best ways to interact with your opponent without actually hurting your own game plan.
Opposition agent.
Well, that's true. but you also have Ruinous Ultimatum. You have the dictates, right? I don't have to do too much. I don't have to sink a ton of slots in for removal. And I have General Kudro, which is also removal, and Graveyard Hate. So you get to do everything in Mardu, and you get Meat Hook Massacre.
I demand the human tribal commander clash.
Yep,
I will run Selesnya.
Let's
to
do
be
it.
bent.
I will be
Vamped.
Mardu.
Heck yeah.
I guess I'm 5 color.
You're
Yeah.
Joda. Joda's a human. So
Yeah.
Ooh, and there's a lot of legendary. These will be pretty different decks. That actually sounds pretty cool.
human is by far the most popular in terms of card type in Magic
Makes
the Gathering
sense.
by a mile. So we could definitely make it happen.
I always find that funny. It's really funny that humans, like in our fantasy game where you want to like get away from humans, like
Yeah.
like it's like playing like I have a theory that like if you play an MMO or D&D and you make a human, you are very much so an alien, or like I'm being or very suspicious here because yes, hello fellow humans, how are you? It is I being a human doing human things. I enjoy human
It's
activities.
because we have a bias because we're all humans. So we if we want to see ourselves in these characters, it's much easier for us to see ourselves in humans as opposed to.
Tomer is
You think
trying
that's
to
neat?
hide the fact that he is definitely an
Look.
alien. Yes,
Look, no.
I see myself as a human in humans. Yes,
I'm a basic when it comes to D&D. That's why I play a tiefling. You think humans are the most popular in D&D? No. Every single person is a tiefling.
well, that's
All right?
fine.
Or an elf.
But that would make sense. That's fine.
No, I think it's because sets need an antagonist that threatens a species, and if the species
Better
is
than humans.
badgers, yeah, I don't care if the frozen forest gets blown up because, I don't know, they didn't even invent the wheel or something.
It's
But
human
humans
bias.
build stuff. I guess it's human bias, but it's not like I want to
It's probably
identify
the
with the
humans
dude getting
that are
ripped
blowing
apart
up
by a
everything.
demon.
Well,
and
It's also
because-
where's human tribal is Catilda, Taurens are all from Innistrad, and what's the theme of
Oh, yeah, I
Innistrad?
was thinking
Humans
about
are being
Innistrad.
hunted. If it
Yeah,
was like
that's
I don't
what I was
know,
thinking about.
Kithkin being hunted, people would be like, it sucks to be them.
Yeah.
You know, it wouldn't have the
That's
same
a bummer.
resonance of horror. We have to see ourselves as the victim. there.
humanoids. If it's
Yeah.
like slivers or something, who cares? Like it's just not
Exactly.
relatable.
The poor slivers are being hunted.
Sure,
it's like,
yeah.
all right, well, that's what they deserve. Like,
I mean, that happens in nature, right? There's
like
prey
you don't
and
feel
stuff
bad
that
for the
is
sliver
human.
player at the table. Is all I'm
That's what
saying.
that's what they get for playing Morophon as their sliver commander. That's what I'm going to say.
Oh
Yeah, I think
no, dude.
that's probably why.
Yeah, I agree with Phil there. All right. Speaking of humans,
don't feel
Kirby, you got
bad.
a human on your list.
Oh, I do have a human. Well, kind of. Okay. No, wait. She actually is just straight up a human.
She is. I think she's a
so-
cleric.
She is an original, an OG, one of the faces, like when you think of a pillar of like a commander, right? It's Kalia of the Vast, 1 in Mardu. It's a human cleric flying. When Kalia of the Vast attacks an opponent, you may put an angel, demon, or dragon creature card from your hand on the battlefield, tapped and attacking that opponent. It's a 2/2. So, you know how it's a story as old as time when it comes to Commander, Hall of the Bandit Lord, and, all of a sudden, surprise, Master of Cruelties, an onslaught of dragons, angels, whatever, right? But I feel like if I were going for a sneak and show or like a sneak attack playstyle, there's new cards, like there's Perfros. Of course, you lose out on black and white, and it is just locked into mono red. But in the current year, I think Kalia is just underwhelming. Like, Kalia is very underwhelming. She's a 2/2 that is easily dealt with. And then on top of that, like, when you don't have Kalia, it feels like the deck doesn't do anything. Like, it actually just feels like I'm sitting here with, like, 9 to 10 mana cards that kind of just do nothing, or this 5 mana clunky threat that's like, cool, that is a Master of Cruelties that I'm fairly casting, right? Like, it just doesn't seem that powerful anymore. It doesn't seem like it sounds weird to say this. It doesn't seem like she does enough anymore. And she is mostly in this format and still highly played. And like, she's got 8,217 decks on EDH Rec, right? Which is, she is the number 2, the second most played commander. And I just don't see, like, it must be because of the fact that she is much like Atraxa, an iconic card, right? She is an iconic card, so that's why she has the numbers to back it up. Otherwise, if you're looking for like function and like power level of this commander, I think usually, oftentimes, you're just gonna sit there with nothing, like a bunch of cards in hand that you're gonna have to wait till turn 9, and then pray that you get to cast that.
That's a tough one. I mean, on one hand, I think you're right that it's not very powerful anymore. On the other hand, I have a hard time figuring out what I would play in place of it. Like, if I want to do like jam all my angels, demons, and dragons together in a deck, or like the sneak and show play style, it's like what what would I play in place of that? And that's where it gets really,
like Kalia.
really tough. So I feel like it's...
I guess mana Kalia?
Isn't that one? That one's probably even worse. I don't know. You don't get to cheat the stuff into play, although it does get an ETB trigger, so you don't got to worry about it dying, which is nice.
I mean, that's the problem with Kalia, the vast, right? It doesn't cheat the cards into play because it just, it feels like it just dies. But it feels like you draw your hand and see like, oh, that's a crazy keep if my Kalia survives. I think more often than not, it doesn't. And then it's just a feel-bad moment. And I think the feel-bad moments are more than the feel-good moments.
And you're not going to get around
it. With it, but because I just don't think I'm going to attack with it. I mean, that's dice to removal is kind of boring to say, but with Kalia, it's like the rest of the deck is so clunky. And if it's not clunky and you can just cast it, it's probably not the coolest thing to cheat into play.
You are table priority number one if you're a Kalia, right? That's another thing.
You're not even green to ramp.
You're not into green to ramp. Everyone knows that your commander is like a one-trick pony. We gotta kill Kalia, or like there is no politicking. Like you, quite often, I find that there is no situation where I'm like, oh yeah, sure. Hey, I'll swing this and then put this into play and help the table out. I'm gonna just kill your commander.
I think she deserves her love. I don't know.
Its popularity makes a lot of sense to me. It's like three of the most Timmy and iconic creature types in Magic, and like cheating your big things into play. Like to me, that just sounds like casual commander players like. Perfect card. It's not a good card, and I bet people don't win very much with it. So I agree with Krim that from like a power level perspective, I don't think it's the 12th most powerful commander in the format by any stretch. But I do think like if you want to play and do if you want the play pattern that Kalia provides, I don't think there's anything else that does what Kalia does. Like really.
But there's so much easier, like so many easier ways to go about it, right? Like if you want to cheat things into play, I'm all for cheating things into play. You've literally heard me defend Morophon just to play big dragons for cheap, right? Like Kalia, like why don't you just ramp or reanimate? Like that's like cheating it into play anyway. Of course, yes, Graveyard Hate stomps you out, but like if you're trying to cheat those out, then you have black, right? Then okay, reanimate. Even white randomly has reanimation, right? Tomer, you've played mono white reanimator. Like there are ways to go about it if you want to cheat things into play. Then you have red. You could play Perforos, an actual resilient commander, right? You can cheat all your red dragons into play by paying 3 mana and then just smacking people with it, right? Like real quick, and you get to cheat things in that aren't refined, kind of contained in the Angel Demons or Dragon box. You can hit people with like, I don't know, a random Blightsteel Colossus if you wanted out of Perforos.
I think I gotta, if you want to play this style, and I mean, let me know in the comments if that works, how many times you get away with it. If you have Swiftfoot boots or something, sure, that's very good. But I think it's more interesting to play if you want to play this kind of deck. I think Hans Eriksson, the card that looks like Seth, doesn't this also cheat things into play, literally, but then it has to fight them? I remember playing against this in Magic Online random matches, and that
Hans, you need
very
stuff on the top of your deck, I think. So it's kind of about stacking the top of your deck, and then if you hit a creature, you get to put it into play. So kind of similar, but not exactly the same either.
More random, and you have to have Hansel live, so you need
better
to
beard though.
Yeah. Better beard than Kalia. Okay.
Yes, by a bit.
I mean, Hans has the same problem, but at least it's green, so you can also ramp and play.
Yeah, you can actually just cast the things that you're trying to cheat into play. Not saying that you couldn't with Kalia.
I'd go to bat for Kalia, though. She's basically just a glorified mana discount on a stick. Like, she doesn't do card advantage, she just does mana discount. Yeah, she brings all the hate, but I think a lot of her popularity might be like a holdover from the old days, because you have to keep in mind she was the original like commander set stuff. She came out over a decade ago, and this was before we had any sort of angel tribal commander. Like there was no Giada, obviously. There was no real demon tribal commander, and there was no Ur-Dragon or anything for dragon tribal. So if you want to run these really expensive iconic Timmy cards, she was the go-to thing. And even to this day, she's a 4-drop. When she attacks, you get to basically cheat out like a 6-drop, a 7-drop, an 8-drop, or something like that. And you kind of give it haste at the same time too, because it's entering the battlefield already attacking. So I think that's already still pretty decent. But I do agree that she will get a lot of hate, and you will be the archenemy at the table. So some people kind of like that, and they lean in on that. Like, they just try to, cheat out Kalia turn 2, turn 3, give her a lightning greaves or something like that, put a threat on the board, and then Armageddon, and you're a pretty cutthroat commander that way.
That was an old play pattern. That was like
pretty sweet.
I'm a boomer, so I was experiencing this in 2011, 2012. That was the way you played Kalia, and you had to, because if you were trying to play fair Kalia, like, you would get killed because people would be like, "It's Kalia. They can have whatever in their hand."
In 2011, there is no fair Kalia, but the tables were generally Kalia, Nekusar, Maelstrom Wanderer, and so you would sit and that. So like these are cards of like the old guard when you think of like commander. So like these are the pillars, right?
I think she's still fine now, but it's like,
I don't know. I mean, I could still play Nekusar, right? I could still play Maelstrom Wanderer. I could still play like maybe the Sidisi deck, right? I mean, like back then, but like Kalia, I feel like she is so painful once she dies the first time, because then you're like, okay, 6 mana. God, she dies again. Now it's like you're actually just paying for the thing you're cheating.
Yeah.
But at the same time, aren't like Kalia decks built to try to get around that? Aren't you like loading up on Mother Runes and Lightning Greaves? And like, I assume if you're building Kalia, like a big chunk of your deck is dedicated to hopefully getting in the first hit with it. Not that it's always going to work, but
then therein lies the balance problem, right? So then, okay, you have these cards that protect Kalia, and then you have like these shoes, all these other things, but then you have the clunky things. And it just feels like you're doing 3 different things, and it often just messes with what half of your deck you have. Like,
I can see that. You draw your boots and nothing big to put into play or something, and you're going to have a rough go of it. So yeah, that makes sense.
And then you steal the enemy.
Yeah,
like if you don't have anything to cheat out, but everybody wants to kill you, that's probably pretty frustrating.
Right, but you will die.
You could just not build around Kalia. You can save her basically like your Mardu deck that deals with angels, demons, and dragons, and Kalia is just a mana rock in your command zone. You play Kalia.
Old Kalia, then.
Yeah, why don't you just play 3-mana Kalia?
Kalia is just the Kalia, mana or card advantage engine in your command zone. Do you want a card advantage engine in your command zone, or do you want a mana engine in your command zone? So you can play Kalia, and if you do get to swing in with her, great. If not, you'll stick to like a reanimation plan, a sneak attack plan, or you just ramp a lot, and then you just hardcast your command or your big beaters anyway. I don't think she's that impressive anymore. Like, I think she's overplayed for sure, especially because now if you want an Angel Tribal deck, you got Angel Tribal. If you want Demon Tribal, you got Demon Tribal, and if you want Dragon Tribal, if you want all 3, then yeah, she's great at that. She still has that aspect, but like, in 2011, you didn't have these options. In 2022, you do have these options. I think it would be you have the fact that you have more options. You probably should be trying out different options. Absolutely. Like and subscribe. We don't hate Kalia players.
I don't hate it either. As a matter of fact, I love the card. Right? I mean, it was one of the OG ones. It's a sweet card. Like, I don't know. It just doesn't seem like it does it for me anymore. And it just overrated.
Yeah.
On the note of people being offended, I almost had Riku of 2 Reflections on my list, and this is probably the most fun commander I can imagine, but it's also like it dies very quickly, kind of like Kalia.
But Riku's
so
fun.
Don't take offense. So it's super fun,
Riku's
but it's
fun,
just
and
not
it's like
super...
I will let Riku live.
Yeah, like Riku.
You also have to pay mana for whatever you're doing too. Like, Riku is slow, he costs a lot, and you have to pay mana to even get any value out of him. I will leave him alone. Kalia, I won't. I'm going to respect Kalia.
Kalia is getting killed every time she hits the board.
Riku stays. Riku can stay.
Yeah, Riku can party for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, I think this is maybe a holdover from the old days. Because it's not iconic. It's one of the most iconic commanders. It started off Commander as a format, right? Big yeah. All right. I have one. I don't know how many we're going to end up doing, but I have one that might shock some more people. If there are any more people listening, I'm sorry, because I'm going to drag the Dragon down a little bit. One of the most popular commanders, ranked number 4 in terms of EDH rec. For people who don't know the Dragon, I don't know how you've missed Dragon Tribal. It's kind of a big thing these days. It's a 9-mana Wooburg Dragon avatar, 10/10, so very expensive to hard cast, but thankfully you don't actually have to ever cast the Dragon to get the most value out of him. It has Eminence. As long as it's in the command zone or on the battlefield, other dragon spells you cast cost 1 less to cast. And then if it is on the battlefield for whatever reason, it's a flying, and whenever one or more dragons you control attack, draw that many cards, and you may put a permanent card from your hand onto the battlefield. Eminence is really the reason why it's so good. It's 5 colors, so you get access to all the dragons. You don't have to worry about, oh, this is not in my color identity or whatever. You have all of them, and it doesn't ever need to be cast. At not 9 mana, whatever mana value, you can ignore that, and you can just enjoy the fact that all your dragons, which are just naturally very expensive thing, it's an expensive tribe that use your like 5 drops and higher, all of them cost 1 less, which is amazing. That's exactly what you want from a dragon tribal deck. Is it very strong? Yes. Is Eminence a mistake? Absolutely yes. However, and I will say it's a fantastic dragon commander. However, I think it actually is an overplayed dragon tribal commander, because there's actually an older other dragon tribal that I think is actually stronger and also a little bit more interesting.
Play morophon.
You can't say more interesting without morophon.
No, this is the original Dragon. This is the original Dragon, scion of the Dragon. Scion of the Dragon, also a Wooburg commander, not 9 mana, just 5. Legendary creature dragon avatar. It's a 4/4 flyer. You can pay 2 mana, search your library for a dragon permanent card, put it into your graveyard, and if you do, it becomes a copy of that card until end of turn, then shuffle. This card is very unpopular for some reason. I mean, the reason is it gets overshadowed by the Dragon. It looks very innocent on its surface, which I think is another reason why it's not that popular. Dragon's kind of like in your face, like, look at me, I am powerful. Choose me as your commander. This one is just like, hey, how's everybody going? I can put stuff in your graveyard. Is that cool? And it actually is cool, though. That's the interesting thing, is it's cool. Like, you can pay 2 mana and turn this into any of the ancient dragons. You can pay 2 mana and like turn it into an ancient blue, draw up to 20 cards for 2 mana. And also it's a tutor ability. It's an entomb. It's a repeatable entomb for 2 mana each time. You just put it into the graveyard. It's great for reanimation. So you can actually like cast your dragons for a lot cheaper than the Dragon provides. By just entombing stuff and reanimating them and adding like a reanimate sub-theme to the Scion. Obviously, you can also one-shot people very easily too. You can turn Scion of the Dragon into like a thingy that lets him pump up his power, and then you can turn him into something with double strike and then just like one-shot easily that way too. It's really strong, and it's a very different take on Dragon. It's Dragon Reanimator. It gives you 5 color, just like the Dragon. It can give a much better mana discount than the Dragon can, ironically. And it's a repeatable tutor effect in your graveyard. It's really good, but people just like don't know about it or don't realize how powerful it can be.
I think that
Scion's sweet.
Sounds like a walking ad in Billboard to just go build the Dragon, though. It's the Scion of the Dragon.
It's just the Scion of the Dragon. It's not even the real thing.
You start at the Scion, and you're like, oh, the Scion of the Dragon. Well, what's the Dragon? Oh, I'll just play the Dragon. It's just like, did you mean this?
Even the art is like kind of wimpy in comparison to the
right.
Like, you guys,
Dragon is like.
Did you ever hear of my older brother?
Yeah,
it's just so hard to compete with mistakes like Eminence. I think you run into this with like vampires with Edgar too, wizards with Anala, like just like the mechanics so busted. The ability through the entire game without ever spending any mana just to like get an effect is like, it's so good. So I love Scion. I think Scion's way more interesting, but boy, I can see why people trend towards Dragon, because Eminence is just, it's busted. It was a mistake.
I think Scion is legit, no joke, stronger though than the Ur-Dragon.
Imagine.
But it's got to stay on the battlefield. Like,
sure, but
it
But
stay
you
on
can
the
pay 2 mana
battlefield.
to just make a hexproof dragon. Find like you know,
So
like
it's a
you can do what it could be
7-mana
whatever.
commander. So then it's a
Yeah.
7-mana commander.
Yeah,
Okay.
I mean, you think it's stronger than Ur-Dragon? Really?
Yes.
I
Because
think it's
it
better
can
than
actually
in
one-shot
killing.
stuff.
Yeah.
Interesting.
I think it's easier to kill with the Scion, but the Ur-Dragon itself makes your whole deck just I mean, Eminence is, you can't compete with this because it seems like a heavily downvoted custom card on Reddit. Like, you start the game with a very strong emblem. Sure. The only cool use of the Ur-Dragon itself is Thomas' tribal deck. I like this idea, but just make 7 drops cost 5 mana for 0 investment just in your command zone. Obviously, you can't compete with this, but the commander itself, I think Sign of the Ur-Dragon is way more interesting. Maybe a lot more shuffling through your deck. If you cut that out, it's just super interesting. Way more combos. And it kills. I mean, the Ur-Dragon, sure, it kills if you actually cast it, but who would do this? The only time I've seen the Ur-Dragon is if the other dragon puts it on the battlefield for a turn, and I'm always shocked if I see
or whatever.
that. Yeah. I mean, the Ur-Dragon also has a crazy other ability, which, sure, if you want to cast it, but you don't have to. So the Ur-Dragon, it's just a mistake. It's like Oko in constructed Ur-Dragon or Eminence in Commander just doesn't make any sense. That's wow.
But why wouldn't I just
Ur-Dragon's
play?
boring too.
Why don't I just play Tiamat then? Or like I feel like Tiamat and all that. Like,
the Scion is just
fun.
interesting. No, but the Scion is super.
Scion's way good.
toolbox.
Scion's gonna
I
murder
think Scion's
everybody
the
in
most
one
interesting.
combat.
Like out of the 5-color dragon commander, Scion is probably the most interesting to me. I'm
I
not
think he's
convinced
the
that it's
least
more
straightforward.
powerful than the Ur-Dragon.
All right.
But I think that like as far as like which would be the most fun to build around and play and do like cool things, it's got to be Scion of the Ur-Dragon. Tiamat's kind of like
there's no way that you okay. I think the Scion first off fails on a few fronts here. It's not as powerful as Ur-Dragon. It doesn't have as
No
cool-
way.
What the Ur-Dragon it makes your deck better, right?
Tomer
like,
actually thinks
Ur-Dragon's
Ur-Dragon's
kinda-
best. Wow.
Because-
and then
one of
you
the
have
easiest-
Tiamat, right? Because it doesn't have the casual appeal. Like Tiamat, like looks cool. It is cool. I'm getting more dragons, so like my inner Timmy loves that, right? Like it fails on the appeal for me at least. Like because like I would just play Ur-Dragon because it's super powerful. And if I want something more fun and like like for a casual thing, then I would gladly play Tiamat. That just feels way cooler.
We all know you'd be playing more.
Y'all are sleeping.
Well, I would
on
play
Ur-Dragon.
Morophon.
Yeah,
I would.
you play Morophon.
I would play Morophon, and that's my pick. I never
Over
really-
Scion of the Ur-Dragon? No,
Yeah,
this
'cause
hurts
I
my
could
heart.
Play Scion
This
of the
hurts my
Ur-Dragon
heart.
for free. For
Look,
free.
You can okay. So for people who aren't aware of Scion of the Ur-Dragon, which is everyone, easily you can start taking people out. Like you can't allow Scion of the Ur-Dragon to basically untap and attack people, because the moment you attack with Scion of the Ur-Dragon, you can first like pay 2 mana, turn into like Scourge of the Throne, attack the creature, attack the opponent with the highest life total, and you're going to be taking an extra combat after this. Turn that into, let's say, an ancient gold dragon or the ancient copper dragon. Make a bunch of mana. You can also turn it into a molten steel dragon. You can pay 1 Phyrexian life to give it +1/+0. Turn it into Skiferix when you have 10 or more power at that point. One shot somebody with infect. You're taking your extra combat, so you go and attack somebody else. Oh, you have a bunch of mana. Maybe you turn into Hellkite Charger. You dump your extra mana into the Hellkite Charger when it attacks. You get to one shot another person on the same combat. Like it's really good. Even if you're not one-shotting people, which you absolutely will be doing, you can turn it into like a Hellkite Tyrant that steals all the artifacts. You can turn it into Old Gnawbone and make that many treasure equal the amount of damage you're dealing. Like it's really good.
I mean,
I don't
for
think
me,
you all understand how good it is.
I think it's good, but
yes.
that just doesn't compare to the Ur-Dragon. Like I think it's very strong, but like Ur-Dragon is just like it's a mistake card, like we talked about before.
It's more in the spirit of Commander, I think. Ur-Dragon is just not.
But then you can like Patriarch's Bidding and just reanimate all those dragons you entombed as well too. And it's like, oof. In case you didn't win the game with Scion itself, you just like mass reanimate with like an eerie ultimatum effect or a living death.
I do really like the graveyard aspect. That's something that's pretty unique, and you can play like the Bladewing the Risens. You got Rivaz, another cool new addition that cares about dragons in the graveyard. So there are like a lot of really neat synergy. So if you want to play like Voltron dragons, I guess Voltron combo-y dragons, or like graveyard dragons, it probably is the best at that. But still, if you just want to play like generic, I'm going to play all the best dragons, it's hard. It's a tough sell to tell me that it's just actually better than the Ur-Dragon.
The disrespect.
The deck
Scion.
you're describing right there, Tomer, is essentially the Lazav multifarious deck, right? But like,
It's a little Lazav.
like,
Yes, where you're turning into something that gives it unblockable, and then you turn into something that has like double strike, and then you turn into something with infect, and you finish the job. Yeah,
right. So like,
that's
that's not like.
But this one also gets extra combats. That gives the extra. You're turning into dragons. What do you mean?
It does seem like you got a lot better with Commander Legends Battle for Baldur's Gate, because it's probably the best dragon commander to play all the like ancient dragon cycle with their combat triggers, so you don't actually have to like cast your 8 mana ancient silver dragon. You just like turn your commander into it and hit and draw a ton of cards or whatever. So there are shenanigans.
But isn't that what you want to do in a dragon? You want to actually play the dragons. You're not really like
reanimate them.
You can play more fun dragons, Grim. We don't have to listen to your opinion on this topic.
You can say whatever you will about
dragon
Morophon, but I actually cast my dragons, right? Like I actually play
dragons. Mine's cooler. I put them into the graveyard and then I mass reanimate them in a glorious fashion. Also, I have an Ur-Dragon deck. At least I'm not playing a fake dragon deck.
What fake dragon?
You just play a dragon deck with fake other
Where's the
dragons.
fake dragon?
Phil, all right.
I don't know where the fake dragon is. Because I don't know this. I don't know if this obviously can like kill somebody out of nowhere, but I don't know.
It sounds super interesting. I'm with Toma here. I think the Ur-Dragon it makes a deck more powerful, but Sign of the Ur-Dragon is at least way more fun and actually kills somebody. Sure, the Ur-Dragon itself, I mean, it's just, you get a huge board. Listen to what Toma said. That sounds so much fun, like with Eerie Ultimatum and stuff. It's, big value. And actually playing Magic, not cheating by having an emblem on turn 0 and then
like
everything is insane.
Morophon?
Like if I had I actually have a dragon tribal deck and it's Perfros. But if I was going 5-color dragon tribal, I'd actually go Sign of the Dragon.
Yeah, I'd do so.
Or Morophon.
No,
So what I think we need to do a human battle and a dragon battle to settle these arguments.
No, the
I'm going to get taken out first
win.
because you better take me out first. That's the thing.
The Ur-Dragon better win. Like, it is just the
The Ur-Dragon will only win because I will be the problem at the table and you will have to stop me. Or else I kill everybody. And then I guess the Ur-Dragon is technically better in that regard because it does win, but...
and then Morophon slips in and somehow Krim was right.
We cannot allow Morophon to win.
No, we all got to
in
kill Krim
Battle
first.
of actual dragons.
Actual dragons? I am the only one casting my dragons. Not throwing it in the graveyard. I am
Ur-Dragon casts them too. Ur-Dragon casts them too. And then we'll have Mirim, I guess, for the last one, right?
Oh, God.
Yeah, probably Mirim.
Yeah, Mirim versus Ur-Dragon versus Sign on the Dragon versus Morophon.
Oh, I'm glad you acknowledge it in the dragon episode. Cool. So you do agree that it is a dragon.
3
Cool.
dragons and the imposter.
The imposter, the only one shape-shifting here is the scion of the Ur-Dragon. Morophon is everything. Always.
Always. All right. I think that's a good spot to end it, right? We're at hour 30.
That's probably
One
good.
more cycle would be like 2 hours. All right. Well, we talked about a bunch of overrated commanders. We went over 8 of them. We have more that we could have talked about, but we didn't really want to lose any more subs. So we'll stop here. If you think a commander is overrated, and you can say it nicer than we can, leave a comment down below, and we can discuss that as well. If you disagree with our assessments, obviously, these are just our opinions. You can also leave a comment saying why we're wrong, because we're usually wrong about things. And remember, keep it civil. Everybody can play whatever you want, but we have a podcast, so listen to us.
YouTube comments that's asking them to keep it civil. All right, let's see it. Let's see it.
Oh boy! All right, that's it, everybody. Order. We'll be back with something spicy next week that probably will be less or more spicy. More spicy. Tune in next week. Even more spicy. All right. Bye. See ya.